everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us for these segments that Sam and I are calling Couple Matters. We wanted to answer some questions that we heard over the years, but also some questions that were posted to us specifically or messaged to us. So one of the questions that we wanted to talk about is this question of how do you learn to speak the same language? We are assuming here that that same language isn't necessarily a foreign language. I think the individual who I know who asked this question is probably
some classes.
is probably speaking about love languages, and that's something that we've heard about before. Gary Chapman made the 5 love languages very famous, and it's what a lot of couples talk about.
I think it also involves just connections in general, how you connect. And because that's really the key to communicating in general, where you're not just saying things, there are levels of connection intimately, emotionally that's happening when you're talking with one another. But we'll focus on those love languages that Michelle just mentioned a moment ago.
Yeah, there's these 5 love languages, and there's actually more. Let's just say the base with the 5 languages is physical touch, words of affirmation, gift, acts of service,
quality time.
And quality time. And so, couples coming into a relationship, long-term or marriage, they might automatically assume that their partners, even if you've been dating for a while and you've known each other, speak the same language. And oftentimes that's not the case. The language that we grew up speaking in the household, where it might have been gifts, right, or acts of service, may not actually be the language that you most desire from your partner. If anything, you might want quality time or physical touch, and that's really how you feel loved.
So even if you just happen to have similar love languages, like Michelle and myself, we physical touch, quality time, words of affirmation mean a lot to us.
All the above.
But we just happen to fall in that category where we share each other's love languages. But even then, it's not just having these similar traits, it's timing, it is the effort that's made, being aware of our partner's situation, what they're going through, not just thinking of my own needs, that Michelle is only speaking to the language that what I want. There is a reciprocating of that language that's spoken.
Yeah, and I think if we think about even traveling someplace, right, to a little foreign country, and these days some of us are dying to go to a foreign country for a trip and all of that, but we go and we study up on it. We want to know, where the best places to go, what are a few words to speak, to just maybe ask basic questions or phrases, say hello, thank you, goodbye, and all of those things. And so in a very similar way, it's how do you enter into your partner's world in order to study them and to understand what it is that they need and to continue to communicate that. I think when we are in a place where we can actually communicate some of those needs, we're able to meet them. By the way, I will say that I think depending on the season of life one is in, what you most desire and how you want to be loved might change. It's not always, that, let's say if words of affirmation happens to be one of your top language, that might be a core, but maybe quality time is something all of a sudden that's shifted up to the top, and you desire that just because of the season of life that you're in. It might be a very busy season of life. It may be just a lot of other things that's going on where you didn't get and haven't had a chance to spend time together.
Now, one of the things that we have to be very mindful of and try to avoid is this idea or mindset that I just don't speak that language. I'm not a touchy-feely person, or I don't do well with quality time because I'm so busy. That's a total cop-out. I mean, remember an earlier talks that we had just done, We talked about willingness. That effort, the willingness to enter into the other person's world, the willingness to try to learn is so significant. When again, we might not be good at that stuff, or it might not necessarily be something that we're comfortable with, but the willingness to at least engage in that in those languages at various levels is absolutely integral, because it tells the other our partners that we care, that they matter enough for us to enter into their world.
Yeah, and I think as you become aware of the other person, and that's over time, you get more proficient at speaking your partner's language. And so maybe the first year of marriage together is going to be a lot tougher as you try to understand, maybe even the first 5 years, until you grow in that connection and learn how to speak each other's love language. And so I think that's one way, and hopefully we've answered the question that was asked.
Again, there are more things, and we hope that you reach out to us and that we can engage in more conversations about things like this.
Thanks for joining.
Take care.